Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to really break down interesting topics and get you the key info fast.
That's the plan.
And today, we're actually taking a bit of a trip, maybe down memory lane for some listeners. We're talking vintage Tamiya RC buggies.
Oh, yeah, the classics. Sand Scorcher, Frog, Grasshopper, Hornet.
Yeah.
Those names just evoke something, don't they?
They really do. And they're not just, old toys collecting dust. There's this huge, vibrant community still building them, modifying them. It's fantastic.
Absolutely passionate.
And one of the things you see a lot, one of the really popular upgrades, is going for what people call a square setup.
Square setup.
Yeah, basically swapping out the standard tires, narrow fronts, wide rears, for 4 identical ones.
Right. Changes the look, helps the handling too, usually.
Exactly. But what's fascinating, and what we're digging into today, is that there are 2 main ways people do this, 2 really dominant paths, but they come from kind of different places philosophically.
Yeah, you've got the classic BRAT Attack on one hand.
Right, the BRAT Attack.
And then the more modern approach, the 1.9-inch wheel conversion.
So 2 distinct routes.
And that's the core question for you listening, isn't it? It's not just about which one's technically more popular. It's about what these choices actually reveal.
Reveal about what?
About the different mindsets in the hobby, really. Are you about honoring the past, that nostalgia, or are you pushing the performance using modern tech? Which way do you lean?
That's a great frame. Okay, let's unpack the first one then, the BRAT Attack.
Yeah.
Excellent. This one sounds like it has some real history baked in.
Oh, absolutely. It's pure 1980s vibes. It uses the wheels and, crucially, those super iconic Sandblaster 915 blocky tires from the old Tamiya Subaru BRAT kit.
The BRAT. Okay.
Yeah. And you constantly hear people in the community saying it's the best look for the Grasshopper since 1984, stuff like that.
So it nails that period look.
Totally. It gives those buggies this rugged, chunkier, more aggressive stance. Really fills out the front end compared to the stock skinny tires.
Okay, so it's about authenticity, that period correct feel. What's involved? Is it complicated? And how does it actually drive on these old chassis?
Well, that's the beauty. Often it's pretty straightforward. It keys into Tamiya's original 1.75-inch wheel standard, and it uses that specific vintage 5-lug mounting pattern.
5 little pins, right?
Exactly, that pattern.
Right.
So for a lot of the classics, Grasshopper, Frog, even the Scorcher, it's often a direct bolt-on, plug-and-play. Pretty much.
Nice. And performance?
Performance-wise, those Sandblaster tires are tough. They work okay on lots of surfaces. And if you're running, say, a stock motor, they definitely improve the stability, especially on pavement. Give you a bit more steering feel.
Okay.
But, and this is important if you decide to drop in a modern, high-power, brushless motor.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that massive torque can just overwhelm the simple chassis design and those harder, blocky tires. It can actually make it quite a handful to drive. A Hornet still handles like a Hornet, quirks included.
Huh. That's a really good point about managing expectations. Vintage feel means vintage handling sometimes, even with upgrades.
Exactly.
Okay, but what if you do want to push things? Go beyond just looking period correct. That brings us to the other path, the 1.9-inch wheel conversion. You call this a RestoMod approach.
That's right. RestoMod, like restoration modification. Taking the classic base and updating it, usually for performance or maybe modern looks.
And how does that work here? What's the key?
It all pivots around one specific and actually incredibly cheap Tamiya hop-up part. It's the hashtag 22077 Hornet one-piece large diameter wheels.
Okay, specific part number there.
Yeah, Tamiya basically made these to bridge the gap. They let these old buggies run a whole world of modern, widely available 1.9-inch tires. That's the big advantage. Tire choice, suddenly you've got options.
Ah, I see. So even though the wheels themselves still use that old 5-lug pattern.
Correct. They bolt right onto the vintage hubs.
They open the door to modern 1.9 tires. What kind of tires are we talking about? Is it complicated?
You've got tons of choices. Tamiya's own stuff, like the BBX rear tires, or their soft rock blocks are popular. Or you can go full aftermarket Pro line, J-Concepts, you name it.
So serious performance tuning becomes possible.
Absolutely. Super soft crawler tires for amazing grip, modern race compounds for dirt tracks. A whole universe opens up. Now, there are a couple of things to know.
Okay.
The wheels bolt on easily, But because these modern tires are often bigger, you might need to trim the front bumper a little on something like a Hornet or Grasshopper just to avoid rubbing when steering.
Right, makes sense.
And Tamiya themselves actually recommend upgrading to ball bearings when you use these. Proper bearings instead of the stock plastic bushings. Helps handle the extra grip and efficiency.
Gotcha. And cost. You said the wheels were cheap.
Yeah, the wheels are dirt cheap, like maybe $6 for all four. It's wild. But then your tire cost depends entirely on what you pick. Could be around $22 for Tamiya rock blocks, or you could easily spend $60, even more, for a set of high-end aftermarket race tires.
So a much wider potential cost range, depending on your goal.
Definitely.
Okay, this is really clear now. These aren't just, two ways to get four matching tires. They represent totally different approaches. You've got the BRAT Attack, that's all about the history, the nostalgia, a straightforward visual and slight handling bump that feels right for the era.
The preservationist's choice, maybe?
Yeah. And then you have the 1.9-inch conversion. That's the gateway. It unlocks modern performance potential, opens up this huge catalog of tire tuning.
The resto-modder's path. Performance-driven.
So when we ask about popularity, it's not really about a winner and a loser here, is it?
Not at all. It really boils down to your personal philosophy, For you listening, are you more drawn to keeping that history pure and authentic? Or does the idea of blending the classic look with modern grip and capability excite you more?
It forces you to think about what your vision is for that specific car, that cherished machine, or really how you approach customizing anything in any hobby.
Exactly. It's about the story you want that model to tell.
That really hits the nail on the head. So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. What is it about any hobby, any classic thing you love that makes you decide? When do you choose to honor the past, and when do you feel the pull to push the boundaries with what's possible today?